My name is Sue White, and I'm the Vice President of Student Life at Gonzaga. And we are honored today to have my friend, I can say that nicely.
Oh, absolutely.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu. And we wanted a time to meet with some students so you could just ask him questions and have a conversation. I was lucky enough to be on a ship with him, and I know how much he loves students and how much they love him back. So we just thought we'll take a half an hour, and some of the students have submitted questions that they want to ask you, and I think we're going to start with Nate. No.
Sure, we can start here.
Okay.
I have a question, and it's, as current chairman of the Council of Elders,
Yes.
Where do you believe the most need for social justice lies in this world, and what positive steps can be taken towards achieving equality and justice?
Well, obviously, I mean, there are very, very many countries in the world where you have inequity. And I think, I mean, people were shocked to discover that you could have a Occupy Wall Street movement here, because I think people are getting it up to here to have these inequities, these inequalities. But I think now, I mean, one could mention a number of places where it's quite horrendous, the gap. Our country, South Africa, is the most unequal society. It has the most unequal society in the world now. And we've just been in Oslo. And one of the things that they were saying is the Nordic countries, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Finland, are amongst the most egalitarian. You know, you go and you go into a hospital, first-rate medical care. As it happens, President Carter needed medical care and went to the hospital. And when they'd finished treating him, he took out his card to want to pay. And they said, not in Norway, you don't pay. And they were saying, I think that, I mean, a lot of countries, so-called emerging economies, ought to be looking to the Nordic countries, who are amongst the most egalitarian. The taxes are very high.
Yeah, that's why they have the medical care.
Yes, but I think, I mean, that more and more we are going to find that inequality is a fundamental cause of instability. And people are going to be going to Rio, and one of the things there is speaking about sustainable development. And I think basically it's one of the reasons why I get thrilled when I meet with young people like yourselves is that you are such fantastic human beings. You are so idealistic. You really believe that it is possible to have a world without war, without poverty, etc., etc. And so I'm thrilled to be here with you and hope that you set yourself the goal of making the United States an egalitarian society.
Thanks, Nathan. Thanks, Todd. Andrew.
Yeah, I know that you were talking about how sort of this younger generation gives you a lot of hope. I'm wondering sort of what specific qualities do you see in young people and our young leaders that really give you hope? And if you could give advice, just one piece of advice to young leaders, what would it be?
I said just now, I mean, that one of the incredible attributes that you have is being idealistic. Idealistic means you dream. You know, you don't say no. I mean, you don't start out like us to say, oh, no, this is impossible. You say, what can we do to achieve it? And that's why you've had movements like Make Poverty History. I mean, we've tried. And I think what you ought to be saying is, hey, you oldies, just get out of the way, man. You've made a mess of things. That's one. I mean, it really is a fantastic gift. And one of the things that I want to be saying in my address tomorrow is this fantastic thing that when you look at how God works in the world, it's amazing how many times God has used young people. You know, we always tend to want to make it out that we have a special relationship with God, but in fact, it's been largely young people. I mean, your university is named after someone who died at 22, and is now the patron saint of youth. But you see what he was doing, looking after people and dying in the process. But that's exactly. I mean, we went to Ghana. And some of the students went into a village and found that, in fact, child slavery happens, and almost immediately they set up an organization about finding refuge.
Yes.
And another batch of young people from Semester at Sea said they went to an orphanage and produced, I don't know how many meals, about 400 or so meals. I mean, when God looks at the world, God says, oh, whatever got into me to create that lot? And the lot God is talking about is us, being old people. Syria. Look at what we're doing in Syria. Look at what we're doing in Gaza. Look at what we're doing, and you go on and on and on. And it's young people largely who are the casualties. But it's also largely young people who are in the peace movement. You know, I mean, people like Bono inspire all of you. And you said, what's the advice I want to give to young people? I say, dream. 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 Don't let anybody tell you it's impossible. Dream. Whoever thought, I mean, that you'd have a South Africa which was a democratic country. I mean, there was a time when people thought apartheid, oh, it's going to be there for keeps. But it's the same in Germany. The Nazis thought they were going to be there for keeps, and they had their Holocaust. But they end up biting the dust. Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini, all of them ultimately end up being footnotes in history. So dream.
That's the piece. Bobby.
Well, in classes we've been studying a lot about foreign aid in countries.
Yeah.
And so specifically, I'm a first generation American, and so my parents are two immigrants from Nigeria, and they came here over 30 years ago. And so I'm very interested about the progress and the prosperity of Africa as well as America. And so my question kind of relies upon whether or not we've been studying people like Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, and speakers such as Ivan Illich in classes and both in my own study. And I just wanted to know some of the things that they preach are saying that countries sometimes need to close their borders for some time to start an independence or for some type of internal growth. And so I just wanted to know, do you think that's what Africa needs to do? It's so important, so important for countries to do.
Yes. I think, I mean, that the justification for sort of shutting out aid from other countries would be to encourage an independent mind, independent. But in fact, you know, part of our problem in Africa has been that we've had unaccountable leaders. Africa is rich. Take your Nigeria. Last year, they've got a new university, the American University of Nigeria, and I'm on the board of that, and they were graduating or having their commencement, and I was asked to give the address, which was broadcast live, and I said, can anyone tell me why Nigeria, with the revenue Nigeria gets from oil, why they are not able to emulate the Gulf states? You know, I mean, when you go to Dubai and places of that sort, yes, admittedly they are smaller populations, but the principle is the same. I mean, that the resources of the country ought to be used for the benefit of the inhabitants of the country. In places like Nigeria, it's not only Nigeria, but I mean, quite a few African countries that have, I mean, they're up to here in wealth, and yet it is wealth that is siphoned off by rulers who then have bank accounts in Switzerland and so on, whilst the roads in their country are, well, not roads, you know. And you see, why? I myself would say what we do want are leaders who know that you lead for the benefit of the land, not for your own self-aggrandizement, which is part of our problem. What?
Go ahead, Nate.
My question is, I mean, you've accomplished a lot in your life. How do you stay humble as a worldwide acclaimed leader?
You've got to be married to my wife. I mean, quite a while she put a bumper stick or something in our bedroom, which said, just think, I mean, what it does to my self-esteem. It says, you are entitled to your wrong opinion.
To your wrong opinion.
Yes, I mean, when you come into a house like that and you are uppity, they quickly puncture your balloon. But it's also the fact that you know you are a leader only because people have agreed that you can lead them. What is a leader without followers? And I mean, when you stand out in the crowd, for goodness sake, remember that you are standing out because you are being carried on the shoulders of others. You know, And fortunately, I think for us, I have 3 patron saints. I need 3 because I'll get into trouble with fewer than 3. Mary Magdalene and St. Francis of Assisi and the Little Flower. And they really have their work cut out keeping me out of trouble. And you have a lot of people praying for us. And yeah, I mean, as I say, it does help to have people in your home who puncture your ego very quickly if you get a pity. Yeah.
That answer your question, Nate? Marrying someone that'll put a sign up like
A few minutes ago, we were talking about dreams, and I know at least for me, it's easy to have a picture of what I want things to look like, but it's scary, and it's sometimes overwhelming to see the big picture and not know where to start. So do you have any advice about where to start with those dreams?
No, I don't. I mean, I think you shouldn't be scared. Really dream the craziest things you can dream. It's people who said we're going to be free, whatever it costs. Now, I mean, imagine if Nelson Mandela had said, "No, I'm dreaming about being free, but it's going, I mean, they may kill me, they may arrest me, they may imprison me." You won't get very far with that. I mean, I think follow your dreams. And yeah, now and again you'll get to be hit between the eyes. But I mean, there are many times when you will inspire others as well. And the good thing is remembering that you won't accomplish if you think it is you alone and you alone who are going to get the credit. It's learning that it's far better to have coalitions, you know. But I hope you won't let your dreams scale. Dream and I mean the people who have built orphanages in way out of the way places frequently would probably have been told, "You're crazy. What? You want to do what?" You know, and they do it. You know, I'm basically actually going to be saying much of this tomorrow. You know, hey, you guys, go for it. Go for it.
So you have a preview of tomorrow. Okay. Amy, did you have any?
Follow on. You told me when we first met that you wanted to start a revolution for women. You might have been joking a little when you said you want to rule the world, but you want to expound a little bit about what you see for the future, especially in Africa for women's rights.
Yeah, I reckon. I mean that when I say we need women to take the leading role, I mean women who are feminine. We've had women who have been political leaders, but we have tried to ape men and behave like men, whereas actually the world is requiring what are basically feminine attributes. You know, there was an awful war civil war in Liberia, as you know. And it was ultimately when the women belonging to different faith communities came together, and the film, you should get someone to get you the film. It's Praying the Devil Back to Hell. And they were the ones who eventually actually helped to stop the war. But I think, I mean, when you consider the fact that women carry a baby in their womb for 9 months, I don't actually believe that any woman would easily, readily say, I want that child to be cannon fodder. I mean, I think because women, I mean, it's in your DNA, you bring to birth, you nurture, I mean, you're caring. You are people who build, and you're very good at working together, collaborating. Where men, I think we still think we live in the ape age or whatever, ice age, where you've got to be macho, you know, and drag the woman by her hair kind of thing. Whereas we are discovering more and more that it is actually the good people who are most admired. I mean, look at Mother Teresa.
Yes.
I mean, you could say many things about her, but you certainly wouldn't say she was macho. I mean, anything but. And why? I mean, I think, and in fact, you couldn't say she succeeded very much. You know, she had a fantastic dream. And you have to go to Calcutta to the home that she's for derelicts, and you see how they treat someone who is just about to die, and they give him, maybe for the very first time in his life, a bit of dignity. A being cherished. And when you look at those nuns, you know, as they maybe washed sick-making sores of a person, it was almost as if, I mean, yes, I mean, you looked in their faces, it was like they are washing Jesus. You know, they really had angelic smiles and something that, you know, with sores that were putrefying and oozing and things that would make you, who should be making you sick. You looked and you saw just I mean, it was a theophany. That there you had, yeah, the compassion and the love of our Lord. You know, like Francis with the leper, you know, and I think, I mean, that's how women are. It's we who get to make them change, and I think, I mean, that women would very quickly end the craziness where we spend billions on death-making instruments, and a small fraction would ensure that children everywhere had clean water to drink. I mean, God must be saying, when are they ever going to get it? I mean, yes.
I have to share one thing. So yesterday at lunch, I'm going to quote you. You said, the world will be better as soon as it starts being run by women. Do you remember saying that?
Yes. That's the revolution I hope to see.
Mm-hmm. So if we can get 2 more quick questions in.
Yeah.
You should say 2 more quick answers.
Answers. We're going to cut you up.
Yes, all right. Okay. I know when I'm not wanted.
No.
Yes.
Well, in today's media, you always hear about people saying what they believe and what they stand for, but so often you see people actually putting those words into action. And so I was just curious, what gave you the motivation and what continues to give you the motivation to stand for what you believe and actually act upon those words that you say?
I am upheld by the prayers of others. I really do depend very, very much on other people. I come from a tradition where, you have to have a daily Eucharist, daily Mass. And it's things that if you didn't have that, if you didn't pray, it's almost like not brushing your teeth. I mean, you feel odd. And knowing, that, you're just part of an incredible movement. As we sit here, if we had the right eyes and the right ears, we would be hearing the music of the angels. Mm-hmm. We would be seeing as they worship and adore God, and all of those fantastic people, who are there and saying, go for it, man, go. God, help him, help her. I believe that, I believe very, very fervently. And I've usually had, as my spiritual counselors, women. I usually go to a nun. Now I go to a nun who used to be a Roman Catholic, but she's married in an Anglican bishop. Fantastic person. They help you to try to be holy, to be disciplined. Yeah, and I was trained by a religious community and for the priesthood, and a lot of it is not taught, as they say. It's caught. It's seeing some of these old priests I used to have to clean the chapel of the fathers, and it was out of service time, and it was incredible. Seeing a Father Winter, old man, it's not service time, but he's there in his. It's winter, it's cold in Johannesburg, and he's sitting there, and those are the things that sort of grab you, and it gets to be a thing that if you didn't do it, you really felt very, very awkward. Yeah.
Okay, Ellie.
All right, so everyone seems to be really excited that you're speaking tomorrow. And so what do you hope that this year's graduating class will take away from your speech?
Well, I've already given you a preview. I have the highest regard for young people. I really do. Mm-hmm. And I will be giving examples of some of the things that I have seen young people do against great odds. And that extraordinarily, God depends on you. God depends on you for this world to be different, to be the kind of world God wants you. I mean, really. And if you fail to that extent, God has failed. You know, but you don't know. I mean, it's like taking a stimulant when I'm with young people. They really.
Okay, thank you. One last question, and I think this shows his energy. I don't know if any of you watched the World Cup when it was in Cape Town, and I don't know if you had a chance to see Father, but they shot you in the stands a number of times doing what I call the Tutu dance. And he gets very excited of young people being around them, and when we were going around the world, he would laugh. It was infectious, and he would dance with us, and it was a blessing, just a blessing to be there. So to end this, I just want to say thank you to the Archbishop. He retired in October of 10 from public life. And then we extended an invitation for him to come here, and he graciously agreed to come to Gonzaga after his semi-retirement. Maybe that's what I should call it, not retired. But thank you so much for being here and spending time with the students and helping us celebrate a great graduating class.
She was my boss.
I was?
She was my boss.
Thank you, Art. Appreciate it.
Thank you so very much for being such incredible. I mean, you just confirm me. You know, I mean that you are fantastic. And I know, I mean, that you're going to turn the world right side up.
That's right. And these students will, they will. Thank you. Thanks, students, for making time to be here. Congratulations, those of you that are graduating.
God bless you. God bless you, Emmanuel.
Thanks.
God bless you, Catherine. God bless you,
Amy.
Amy.
We'll sign your book.
Yeah.